parents just have no idea what infants are like. They're just like, why doesn't this child sleep like through the night, or why it needs to be fed, what is it, every 2 hours when they're
in the beginning? Like whenever the baby wants.
Right. And they're like, so
Yes.
no, the 3 square meals is not a thing.
No.
I have had friends who were like shell shocked. They're just like, it needs to be fed constantly. I'm like,
Constantly,
first of all, you
around
can't
the
call
clock.
it an it anymore. You
It's a he or
birthed
she.
it. Yes, he or she. And then I think also just like emotional control, like controlling your own emotions, and that's the hardest thing I've had as a non-parent, semi-parental figure of like, I need to go into a room and control my emotions before I start yelling and screaming at you, which is what I would like to do, but you're 5, so I can't. Yeah.
Yes. The trials and tribulations of being a much older sibling or a parent, right?
Right.
All right. Let's talk about subway fares. They've gone through another round of increases.
I mean, trial and tribulations of just living
Yes.
through, trying to get to work. All right, so this is not a surprise, but here it is anyways. So this is planned part 2 of the 2-part phase subway fare hike.
Yes.
So last August, if you remember, Busan City decided to raise the bus rates by 351 and subway fares by 301. But because that 301 does add up quite a bit if it's done all at once,
Yes.
the city decided to divide it into 2 parts to lessen the burden on the people.
Okay.
So last October, we had 151 hike, and now the rest of it, another 151 comes into effect or came into effect today.
Yes.
So with this, if you're using a transportation card, the subway fares are 1,601 for 1 zone and 1,801 for 2 zones. But also the city did explain that if you're using the Dongbaek Pass discounts or even the K-Pass discounts, there are discounts in place, so it shouldn't be too big of a burden.
Right. Well, still though, anytime anything goes up, we all kind of cringe a little, right? Well, this is one of the most pertinent topics in Busan, and I'm talking about the population exodus.
Right, we would just like to stop at population, but
I know.
for years it has been an exodus, meaning a large exit of people.
Yes.
So in the first 3 months of the year, 0.3% of the entire population of Busan left for other cities or provinces.
Sure.
And this is according to the Dongnam Regional Statistics Office, where they gave numbers for the first 3 months of the year. Here, 114,893 people actually moved into Busan. However, 117,326 people left the city.
Right.
And there was a significant exit for the younger population, especially in the 25 to 29 age group. And if you think about it, that is the age of post-college graduate prime job getting years. So that means a lot of them are leaving the city to search for jobs, specifically 3.7% of that particular age group. So that's 10 times the overall rate.
Right.
And where are they heading to? The capital area, Seoul, Gyeonggi, and a smaller but significant amount to Incheon.
Okay.
So for regions on the opposite end where its population moved to Busan, we're looking at Gyeongnam, Ulsan, and Daegu.
Yes. So, just the fact that they're going anywhere but staying here, not a good thing.
And the thing is, we had a lot of surveys where younger people said that they actually do want to keep living in Busan, but
That's
it's
a
just
sad
more of
thing.
they have no choice.
Yes. All right, next, there was the scandal involving the Busan Christmas Tree Festival where an official in charge was accused of embezzlement.
And he was found guilty recently.
Oh,
So
okay.
Busan Regional Court found the team leader of the Christmas Tree Culture Festival guilty of embezzlement, violation of the Regional Finance Act, forgery of private documents, and sentenced him to 6 months in prison with a 1-year probation. And the head of the tree's installation company was also found guilty and sentenced to 3 months with a 1-year probation. So according to the court, the employee filed the wages of its temporary workers for the company for the festival at a higher rate than what they were actually paid, so he could pocket the difference.
Oh.
And he also made 6 million won from this operation. And then he worked with this head of the tree installation company, and they forged a rental lease contract for a warehouse through which they embezzled 13 million won.
He was busy.
He was quite busy. And
Yes.
by the way, this festival is run mostly on public funding. They receive 500 million won from Busan City and Chunggu District Office annually.
Sure.
So those are our taxpayer funds.
Oh, yay.
Yay.
And yes, I'm being sarcastic. So, well, the good thing is, if there is a silver lining, is that he was found guilty.
He was found guilty.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's a lesson. I mean, law enforcement, they will always find you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So don't even think about it. All right. Excuse me. Next up, there is a major coffee event going on at Mexico.
Right, and how appropriate because it is Children's Day, and what do you need to keep up with all the energy levels of your kids?
Caffeine.
Ample, copious amounts of coffee. So the 2024 World of Coffee and World Barista Championship, they're both going on through this weekend. So it's co-hosted by Busan City and the Specialty Coffee Association, or the SCA. So the World of Coffee Championship is the world's biggest coffee and coffee service exhibition. And it's the first time it's taking place in Asia. So they will run 250 booths from 70 different countries, or they're running it right now.
Okay.
And the World Barista Championship is one of the most reputable coffee competitions in the world. Previous winners include Paul Bassett.
Yes, that one.
That one, yes. James Hoffman and Chun Ju-yeon, who is actually from Busan, and she is working for one of the biggest local coffee, well, I don't want to say franchise, but coffee houses in Busan, let's just say. So there will be baristas from 60 countries competing for that championship title. And there will also be promotional booths for Coffee City Busan, coffee classes, business meet and greets, and they always have samples. Yes.
So if you love coffee, you might want to check this one out, right?
For sure.
Okay. Lastly, there is a dance festival happening in Busan this summer, and the city is looking for applicants.
Indeed. So Busan City is working with a youth culture promotion agency, and they're holding the Busan Step Up Dance Festival. That'll take place from July 4th for 4 days. There will be individual battles and also group dance performance championships. Judges include Pada. If you watched Supa, Street Women Fighter Season 2, she's from the championship dance group, Bebe, and NCT's choreographer, J-Lick. And the rewards collectively add up to a total of 33 million won. So if you would like to apply, you can visit dance.busan.com.
All right, let's go, Haley.
Okay.
Let's join the competition. Well,
Yes,
thank
let's
you for
practice.
the updates, Haley. And now back to you, the listeners. We're talking about parenting today. That's our main topic at hand. But if you had an opportunity to take parenting classes, what would you like to learn? And assuming that you're already a parent, looking back, maybe you were thinking, gosh, why didn't they teach me this? Why didn't they let me know? I mean, I personally read like every single book out there, and like the so-called Bible was what to expect when you're expecting. That used to be the Bible. I don't know what it is now. But still, like, I got mad at my girlfriends for not telling me how painful, like in real life, how painful childbirth actually is. Yeah, I got really mad at all my girlfriends, and anyhow, they said, welcome to the club. Well, here is your traffic and weather. It's now 7:16 on this Friday morning. Taking a look at the roads, there's congestion on Dongso Overpass from Bomnaekgol to the old Gaegeum toll gate. It's also looking slow on Runo Samsungdaedo from Myeongji Underpass to Shino Bridge. As for the weather, it's currently 11 degrees under clear skies. The temperatures are expected to go up to 24 today with a sunny day ahead of us. But as you can tell, the 11 to 24, that's quite a big gap between the current temperature versus the high. So make sure you wear proper layers. And tomorrow is Ipap, marking the beginning of summer on the solar cycle. It will still be quite spring-like tomorrow with an expected high of 25 under clear skies. However, there is rain forecast for Sunday evening, so you might want to adjust your children's day plans accordingly. This was your traffic and weather.
Check this out.
This is Morning Wave Busan.
Everybody, wait a minute.
This is Morning Wave.
Morning Wave.
You are listening to
Morning Wave.
Morning Wave in Busan.
What show is this?
This is Morning Wave in Busan.
Here we go. Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest. We still have Haley here.
Hello, hello.
All right, first let's dive into the latest consumer price numbers. Oh, any good news?
We do have a bit of good news. I think 0.1% worth of good news.
Oh,
so,
no.
All right, well,
Okay.
it's better than nothing. Well,
True.
consumer price increases, they did finally go down to under 3.3% for the first time in 3 months. So that's not nothing. According to Statistics Korea's April consumer price numbers, the CPI Consumer Price Index came to 113.99, which is up 2.9% from the same time last year. But once again, that is still under 3%, which we haven't seen basically this year.
Yes.
But there were still high prices over, you guessed it, fresh agricultural product, produce specifically. In terms of processed foods, we only saw 1.6% increase. Petroleum, pretty steady at 1.3%. And public utilities, I mean, still higher than what we would like at 4.9%.
Yes.
But the agricultural prices, in terms of apples, apples, up by 80%. But we have a new high.
Oh, no.
Pear prices more than double at 103%, and that is the highest uptick in pear prices since record taking began in 1975. So agriculture prices basically dragged up the total inflation by 0.76%, and also personal services, and that includes dining out. Those prices added 0.95% to total inflation. But good news once again so far, petroleum prices did not have a huge effect on overall inflation.
Sure.
But experts do say because of what's going on in the Middle East, we will need to continue to monitor that situation.
So we have a new king, pears.
Pears.
All right, not apples. Let's continue with another economy story, the Fed's interest rate and how this affects Korea's rates.
Right, because, the old saying went, whenever the U.S. sneezes, Korea catches a cold.
Right.
So it matters definitely. So the Federal Reserve's Federal Open Market Committee, we reported on this yesterday, but to recap briefly, decided to keep the U.S. benchmark borrowing rate or interest rate in the 5.25 to 5.5% range. So that puts the gap between the key rates of South Korea and the U.S. at up 2 percentage points.
Yes.
So what that means is that the Bank of Korea, which is meeting later this month, it is going to likely keep the level steady at 3.5%. Because there are several factors that influence this. Number one, South Korea's inflation, as well as everywhere in the world, is not as low as it should be, or what we would like to see. Once again, 2.9% last month.
Right.
And fresh produce are still keeping inflation pretty stubborn. And BOK's Governor Lee Chang-yong said last month that the Bank of Korea's expected consumer price for the second half of the year is at 2.3%. And if that is if fuel prices stabilize and keep on track, the BOK may lower rates, but if not, it really would be hard to keep the rates low or put them down lower.
Yes, but there's also the currency rate to think of.
Right. So another number that we've been really monitoring because of what's going on in the world and geopolitical instabilities, the won to dollar currency rate, it jumped to 1,400 won earlier this week. So it's stabilized somewhat, but it's still lingering in the high 1,300 range. So 1,370 to 81 range. So with this, that makes the actual price of imported goods really high.
Sure.
And as the central bank's top priority is once again inflation management, they're not going to lower rates with currency rate this high. So once again, the BOK is meeting on May 23rd, but the rate will likely stay the same, and that would make it the 11th consecutive time.
Yes, yes. But let's go back to the U.S. Federal Reserve. There is much interest over how the presidential election may affect the interest rate.
Right, because as much as we would like to believe that it's not, politics and the economy, they are very much intertwined.
Yes.
So with this hawkish message coming out from Jerome Powell, even if the Fed does lower rates, it won't happen until the latter half of the year. So many experts, including those cited by the New York Times, they diagnosed that because of the timing of the election, which is in November for the U.S., the Fed may be involved in political controversy, whether it is intending to be or not.
Yes.
So, for instance, Donald Trump has already sent out a message that if the Fed lowers the interest rates before the election, they would be conspiring, that's according to Trump, to help Biden win his re-election bid.
Oh.
And Trump has also stated that he would, if he's elected, put all independent agencies under the White House control. So Powell on Wednesday, local time, emphasized that the Fed is an independent agency and it always does what's right for the economy based on data and nothing else.
Well, contrary to what other people think, yes. All right, moving on. Civic complaints or even violence against civil servants have been an issue for a while now, but now there are measures in place that can apparently protect them.
Finally, which is surprising that they haven't been. So from now on, if someone during an interaction with a civil servant, during a phone call, verbally assaults them, the civil servant can hang up the phone, which they couldn't before?
I guess not.
I guess not. So this is based on the new measures to prevent these malicious civil complaints and protect civil servants.
Yes.
And this happened after a government official working for Gimpo City, unfortunately, took his own life after he was bombarded with calls and basically been cyberbullying for
Yes.
approving a road construction project. So until now, apparently, when you're on a call, if someone had cussed to the civil servant or went off on this long-winded, like off-track comment, the
Yes.
civil servant had no choice but just to listen and not hang up.
Oh.
Right. So now he or she can give one verbal warning, and after that, if the verbal assault persists, they can hang up.
Okay.
And each department will also have 1 hour of recommended call time. And after that hour passes, if the caller continues to make unreasonable requests or goes off track, they can also hang up. But it's still an hour.
An
Have you ever been
hour?
on the phone for an hour?
I mean, but with a civil servant?
Yeah.
Never.
And that, which is shocking. So people do stay on the phone for over an hour. In any case, all calls also may now be recorded. And the Interior Ministry is going to adjust the level at which civil servants' names and faces are disclosed on the government website, because unfortunately that information has been used for malicious complaints and even cyberbullying.
I guess a step in the right direction, we'll call it.
Right. But I mean, I do have to say I am shocked at the
1 hour?
what they've had to put up with
Yes.
until now.
Yes, yes. All right, lastly, the controversy over Ali and Temu products and their safety continues.
Right. So a lot of people are doing kind of bulk buying, or they're kind of putting friends together to
Yes.
buy from these pretty affordable Chinese e-commerce platforms.
Right.
However, there are safety concerns. So upon controversy, Seoul City ran tests over school supplies that were commonly sold via AliExpress and Temu. And the authorities found chemical compounds that are banned in children's products in clay. And
Okay.
they very much, it's very on contact. In one product, they also found boron levels exceeding the permitted levels by 39 times.
goodness.
And in another school supply, this game board, the authorities found lead levels 158 times over what was permitted. And there were also safety issues with some toy cars that had sharp protruding ends. And one color pencil set had double the permitted barium levels in 10 out of 12 colors. So you can check out the full list of product details on the Seoul City website.
Oh, well, we need to protect our young ones. So definitely this is a good thing, the fact that we have these safety checks. Thank you for all the news. We'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
And now we are ready for our first song break. This is I'm So Tired. This is by Love and Troye Sivan.
I'm so tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love. Just wanna go home, wanna go home, wanna go home. Oh, so tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love. Just wanna go home, wanna go home, wanna go home. Oh, party, trying my best to meet somebody, but everybody around me's falling in love to our song. Yeah, hate it. Taking the shot 'cause I can't take it, but I don't think that they make anything that strong. So I hold on. Yeah. I'm so tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love songs. songs, tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love. Just wanna go home, wanna go home, wanna go home. Whoa. Strangers, killing my lonely nights with strangers. And when they leave, I go back to our song. I hold on, hurts like heaven, lost in the sound. Buzzcut season, like you're still around. Can't unmiss you, and I need you now. Yeah, yeah. I'm so tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love. Just wanna go home, wanna go home, wanna go home. Oh, so tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love. Just wanna go home, wanna go home, wanna go home. Oh, I'm so tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love. Just wanna go home, wanna go home, wanna go home. Oh, so tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love. Just wanna go home, wanna go home, wanna go home. Oh.
Welcome back, everybody. It's now 7:28 on this Friday morning. All right, so there is actually a law that establishes parents' responsibility for their child's education, to educate their children so that they will grow up with, I guess, good character, right? The Education Ministry therefore decided that parents need policy support for parents to properly educate their children, and therefore they're making a Korea Parents Award for parents who have shown exemplary cases of at-home discipline and education. Any parent of a child in kindergarten through high school may apply upon recommendation from the school's principal. Winners of said award will also be invited to give classes and contribute to spreading a healthy culture of communication between schools and parents. So, I don't know. What do you think about this? Waivers out there, parenting classes. That being said, topic. What would you like to learn in parenting class? Or maybe looking back, if you've already, if you already have kids, or maybe they're like grown up, what do you think they should be teaching in parenting classes? Basically kind of a, oh my gosh, why didn't anybody tell me this? Why didn't anybody? Why isn't there enough literature or guide on this topic? 자, 부모 수업이 생긴다면 배우고 싶거나 배워야 한다 생각하는 것은, there are so many things, right? It's not just like, it's like the whole birthing process, raising your kids from, when I remember like coming home with this like wiggly little wrinkled baby. And although I had read so many books on parenting, I was just taken aback. But it could also do with the fact, it could be due to the fact that, in the States, that the whole 조리원 system is not like what it is here. But I just felt like really, really overwhelmed. And I wasn't ready for like the postpartum blues. And also, there are so many little details that I always like would turn to my friends and say like, why didn't you tell me about this? They call it like the terrible twos, and then where the and it goes on and on. Like every age, there's like a little cute name that we put on to say yes. It's a tough time. Anyhow, let's get to our hot clip for today. How about this kind of support? An emotional support alligator that was taken by pranksters and, apparently dumped into a swamp. Let's find out more about Wally, because the question was for the longest time, where's Wally? And here's a clip from ABC and Fox News.
There are emotional support dogs. And even emotional support cats. And then there's Wally. The The emotional support gator, nominated this year for America's favorite pet. A cuddle buddy and a real sweetheart. The 7-year-old alligator, described as a mild, emotional alligator who somehow gives hugs and kisses. He's nominated against bunnies, chameleons, and parrots. But for now, he's showing off, hanging with the kids on the 4th of July, relaxing in the waters this summer. His handler getting emotional.
He helps put thousands and thousands of smiles on people's faces almost every day. He comforts people when they're sad.
The Wally Gator was officially reported missing out of state today. His owner tells us he was last seen on April 21st. And with few leads to go off on, many are wondering, where's Wally? What began as a trip to visit friends in Brunswick, Georgia, became a nightmare for owner Joey Henney.
I come out and I saw he wasn't in his pond. I thought that was weird. And I looked in the enclosure here and he was nowhere to be found.
Wally is Henney's emotional support reptile. The friendly gator has appeared in community events and fundraisers across South Central Pennsylvania. Henney says he's scared to lose his reptile companion.
Why? Why can't people let stuff like that alone when they're doing good?
Henney last saw Wally around 4:30 a.m. on Sunday, April 21st. He has no idea where Wally may have gone. His only lead is a tip from a friend of a friend.
Apparently this guy around 30 years old was in there bragging how he stole Wally. Apparently he has him in his house, in his basement. So I don't know. We just got to find out.
Henney says he waited to file a report because he didn't have the right permit for Wally during their visit.
So in that clip, as you heard, oh, Wally, where's Wally? That was the question. And there were like some online rumors, like when I was still checking before I came in to do the broadcast, that Wally might have been dead. But apparently some people, like a person as a prank, put Wally in like another person's yard. And then that person called the authorities. And then the authorities apparently released Wally into the wild. The problem is, Wally is very domesticated, so he's still trying to find him. So let's help find Wally. This was your hot clip for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time to welcome Casey into the studio for Foreign Press Highlights. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine.
How do you like your new digs?
Love it.
Love it, really?
Loving it. I'm loving the yellow and the purple here.
You do?
Sure.
Apparently, I was looking at... I was looking at the YouTube video. I'm like, it's a lemon yellow.
Yes.
Like a pale yellow. And then on camera, it looks like yeah. Well, we don't have monitors, so don't look there.
Yeah,
but
I'm actually glad. I'm actually happy we don't accept that one.
It looks really, really bright. Anyhow, well, I digress.
It's a Friday. Feel bright.
It's a Friday. I want to talk about parenting.
Oh, dear.
Because apparently the government is going to try to they're going to hold parenting classes. And I thought to myself, what a brilliant idea. Like, I was just mentioning to my sister the other day, I was like, they have licenses for everything. Like everything under the sun, you need a license.
Sure.
But...
especially things you can hurt people with.
Yes. And then I was like, but there's nothing... I mean, you need to get a license to drive a car.
Right.
I mean, you need a license for basically everything except parenting. And I had this very discussion. Because the reason why we're discussing this is because... we fortunately found out about, a young student who I guess basically she's being neglected by her parents. And so we were really kind of sad and kind of mad about the situation. And then this topic popped up. So I want to ask you, if you could do it over again, because your kids are obviously in the world. So
right.
What kind of parenting classes could you have benefited from?
Everything.
Like, give us some examples.
Step
I know.
one.
Step
one.
Exactly.
Is it okay to sleep if your child has just been born? Like, I didn't sleep. I was like, I got shingles. I had shingles.
You
I
had
didn't sleep.
with shingles
Yeah.
after your firstborn?
I wasn't sleeping. I was like, if I go to sleep, is my baby gonna be okay?
Oh.
You know, I was so worried about everything. Yeah.
Were you like, I used to go and check to like, I did the finger test, like, is the
yeah.
baby breathing?
Oh yes.
Like,
oh yeah.
is the baby still alive?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
I not,
because
kill the baby accidentally?
right, because like you just I don't know, you have no suddenly you're in charge of this other human being and
That's
like what
true.
can it do by itself?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The
Right.
human being born, newborn is like the most helpless creature they say like on the face of the earth.
Right.
Like really bar none.
And there's a theory that's why we find them so cute. And why they're so cute as
They're
you know,
helpless.
because they're cute, it makes us want to take care of them. So if they weren't so cute,
Yes,
we would
we
be
would-
like, meh.
You're
know
on
what I
your
mean?
own.
Yeah, right.
Hey,
Yeah.
but like if we fast forward a few years,
Oh, okay.
and then we get into the, when they're talking,
Right.
and they can talk back, like what would you?
Sassin? You talking about sassing you?
Yeah,
Getting
like
sassy?
it's too early to be sassing like 7:38 in the morning.
Right.
What would you like to have learned though?
Yeah, right now I'm kind of struggling with like, how do I get my son, who's only 7,
Yes.
to, just listen to me? Like, it's dinner time, buddy.
Listen.
It's dinner time.
How many times do you have to tell him?
100? I don't know. It's a.
And do you ever lose your patience?
Oh yes, but I'm actually I'm pretty good at it. I'm gonna throw my wife under the bus right now.
Okay,
I'm
throw
better
her,
than my
throw
wife.
her.
I'm way more patient than she is.
Oh, does she lose it?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And she knows it too.
And does her voice go up an octave or what happens?
I'm like, I sound like I'm in trouble. I'm like, oh, what did I do? So I'm like, yeah, but I get it. It's hard to, stay calm and stay patient after you say the same thing.
Like 100 times.
Yeah, right. So, and my son is like getting old quickly. It feels like too quickly. Slow down, buddy. I walk him to school every couple of days, during
what a
the
good
week.
dad, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
See?
okay.
I needed that.
And?
Like at first I was like, okay, when you get up into the school, wave at me and let me know you're in the school.
Yes.
And he did it for like 2 weeks and then he's like, nah, I'm not doing that anymore.
So he just walked in?
Yeah, he just walks in, doesn't wave at me. I'm like,
Casey's like, I wish we had like CG, like tears.
I'll add the real tears. Hold on.
Oh, method acting. Yes. All right.
Oh, I almost got it.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And Tommy, one of our listeners, says Communication 101 and child psychology. Oh, those are good topics.
Yes. Thank
Good
you.
choices. All
At
right.
the same time.
Yes, together.
At the same time.
Mandatory.
Right.
We're going to dive into our first story about Korea, but from the perspective of foreign outlets. So what do you have for us?
Well, from foreign outlets, I've got nothing but food on Friday. How's that? That was F's all in a row. Did you like that?
I like F's.
Cool. Yeah, it's
fun,
Food Friday.
Friday.
Right. So
Forget about it.
Forget
Let's go.
about it.
Let's get out of here. No F there.
you're right. Almost.
Almost. Yes.
Almost. So what we're going to talk about first is from the South China Morning Post, which is a Hong Kong publication. And I saw this headline. I was like, I got to talk about this.
Okay.
All right. So the headline's a long one. It's why Busan, now with its own Michelin guide, should be on every foodie's radar on a trip to Korea and 4 must-eat places.
Okay, that's
You
really
interested?
long.
I know.
You lost me at like, why Busan?
I know. Yeah, why Busan Michelin Guide, you'll find it.
Yes.
That's good enough.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, you don't need to type the whole thing.
Okay.
So the writer apparently is like their food and drink editor, and she recently came to Busan, and she says a recent first trip to Busan on the back of the city's inauguration into the Michelin Guide, which in South Korea has only covered Seoul for the last 7 years, was a veritable amuse-bouche.
What is that?
I had to look it up too. It's like an appetizer that a restaurant will give you for free typically. It's like not when you have to order.
Okay.
I know. I was like, fancy.
Fancy. Is it French?
Oh, yes.
Okay, that's
I'm
why.
guessing, yeah. Amuse-bouche.
Yes.
So for what the port city has to offer. So in other words, it's like it was just like a warm-up to what we have here.
Leslie says it's a small bite for us uncouth people.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
For us uncivilized
Thank you for translation.
Americans. Okay. Yes.
Amuse-bouche. I don't know.
Yes.
So they said, she said she spent 3 days in Busan and saw everything from Gamcheon Culture Village to the Haeundae Park, Blue Line Park, where they got these little sky capsules, you could ride along the coast. And then she said all of that was peppered with teasers of Busan's cultural and culinary identity, which I was kind of like, what is that?
What are we talking about?
Yeah, right. What is our identity?
So what do they say is Busan's identity? And I don't want to hear... Is it going to be the same, like the 밀면 and the 돼지국밥?
Yes.
Is it?
It is, yeah. But that's a part of it. That's only a part of it.
I feel like that's just a tiny part of what Busan has to offer.
Right, and that's the point of the article.
Okay,
that's
thank
kind of
goodness.
like the.
Thank goodness.
That's kind of like the basic that everybody should know.
Speaking of which, though, I'm having 밀면 today. So.
Are you really?
Yes, there's a place that I like.
Yeah.
And the delivery is 6,000원, but I'm getting it.
6,000원. Is that still possible?
6,000원. I paid 6,000원 last week.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
For delivery?
Oh, wait a minute. The delivery fee alone?
The delivery fee is 6,000원.
I'm about to fall out of my chair.
Okay.
Oh my. What? I thought you meant like the.
No, not the price of the 밀면 itself is like
It's probably up to
11,000
10, right?
won.
Yeah, to 11?
11,000 won, and they
goodness.
charge 6,000원 for the delivery. But anyhow.
It's that good, huh?
Yeah, we digress.
Oh,
Yes.
well. Okay,
So
well,
hungry.
do you know how Milmyeon came about? I didn't know until I read this.
About the war?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody knows, right? But I didn't know.
You didn't know?
I didn't know. I
You're
didn't realize
so
that.
Uncivilized.
Thank you. Yes, amuse-bouche. So naengmyeon, apparently it
Yes.
was like, it comes from naengmyeon was the original dish, but they
Yes.
didn't have potato starch here in Busan?
Yes.
So you know all this. Well, okay. Well, if
Yeah,
you're like,
because of the Korean War, we were
Right.
poor. The whole nation, we were starving. Not we, like you and I, literally. We're not born, but
well, if we
yes.
keep eating Milmyeon, we're going to end up in the
Yeah.
poorhouse. Jeez, $11 plus delivery.
yeah.
But yes, okay, so they give you things like that. They
Yes.
explain like the dishes that came from North Korea originally. And 돼지국밥, they say also was influenced possibly by U.S. military bases having
Oh,
like
really?
leftover. Yeah. Oh, you want something new?
Yeah,
All right.
hit me with a 돼지국밥.
All right, picky. Here we go. 돼지국밥 is a pork bone and rice soup. Another dish that came about in the aftermath of the war. Some origin stories point towards resourceful refugees who sought out discarded pork bones from the U.S. military
So
bases.
sad. All these.
I know.
The history of Busan food.
I know.
Sad.
But I mean, there's a reason that when people come to Busan, they want to eat these things because the city's associated with it. However, the restaurants that got the Michelin star are not traditional Korean food. They talked to the owner of one of them, whose his restaurant is actually not far from here. It's
Okay.
near like the Yonghoman Bay area. And his is like, it's kind of like local ingredients. So it's always like fresh, but it's kind of like French style cooking. The owner's name is Kim Jae-hoon. He's 37. He keeps his dishes and menus minimalist. I checked out his menu. I was like, oh yes, it's like a set course. And
Okay,
you're
okay.
eating what he's given. But it sounds amazing.
Okay, give us an example.
Okay, so fried dough fritter with rich chicken liver cream flavored with fermented mushroom powder.
Buñuelo.
Yeah. You know what that is? I didn't even know what that is. I thought that meant like something good. Buñuelo.
That's bueno.
Yo no sé. Yo no sé.
You don't say nothing.
Yes. Yo no sé nada. I learned Spanish for what, 8 years? I
And
don't even-
that's what you have after 8 years. Oh my
That's
goodness.
it. Un
Okay.
poquito.
Yo hablo español un poquito.
Yes, that's I
That's
think
after
I learned.
2 years.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Go on.
But so yeah, also a radish and onion tart, and also mushroom agnolotti, which I imagine is Italian. It's just
Agnolotti. Agnolotti.
amuse-bouche.
Yes.
And also 3-week aged duck that's smoked and then cooked over charcoal. I was like, wow, this guy's fancy.
At least it's not like, what is it? Like the Chinese, what is it? The 100-year-old egg?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I
It's
hear 1,000 years old, I'm out.
3-week aged.
Oh, it's a lie.
Yeah.
But this guy, like,
That sounds good.
yeah, and
I would eat there.
Everybody was like expecting that he was going to get this because I guess he's got a pretty good reputation in town.
Oh.
And he said he was shocked when he actually got it. And he says, like compared to Seoul, Busan is growing little by little.
Yes.
It's totally different, but there are so many good chefs in Busan and good restaurants coming up. I will hope everyone will just come visit my home. And I was like, that's a good sales pitch. They do, in the article, mention a couple other places, including a Milmyeon place in...
Where?
I want to say it's in Nampodong. They do give specifics in the article. You can check it
But
out.
we can't give out names because
Right.
we can't advertise.
Right, but
Isn't this news? No, we can't. Okay, so
but it's
check out the article.
and the place has been open since 1953 and family run since then. And
Oh,
they're
really?
originally from North Korea, so they brought their recipe with them.
I see.
So yeah, it's totally worth checking out this restaurant.
Oh.
I don't know. You check out the article, and there's like more information in there. But it's cool. There's a guy that like kind of guided the writer and kind of explained that the big difference between Seoul and Busan is Seoul people are nice but not kind. Busan people are not nice but they are kind.
That's actually a good one. Can you say it one more time?
Yeah, actually, he reversed the order. He said
Yeah.
Busan people are not nice but they are kind.
Okay.
Seoul people are nice but not kind. You kind of get that?
I don't know.
So he's saying, like, people get a reputation for being a little tough on the outside here, but inside they're soft.
Oh, I think that's true.
I think so, too.
There's lots of tongue that, Busan people have. And I
Sure.
think sometimes there's also this misnomer because, because of the Busan dialect, it can sound harsh
Oh, yeah.
when you first come. Like, I always thought everybody was fighting when I first came to Busan.
I still think so.
No, but it's just like the intonation. It has nothing to do with like if you're angry or not. So
Right.
you just got to get used to it.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to our second story.
More food? You in?
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
go.
How do you
Second
feel?
F.
Oh, yes. Here we go.
Okay.
This is about rice.
Rice?
Kind of. Do you like the purple rice when you get that at a restaurant?
I don't mind it.
Okay.
My family, if there's any like color or like beans, they just
no?
won't eat. They refuse. Like,
Really?
Like literally,
I'm
like
shocked.
talking about parenting.
Yeah.
Like I put in the grains and it made the rice purple, or I would add beans because it's for the nutritious
Right.
value.
And delicious.
And I think delicious, so I would put it in. And even like finally, the big roommate, he's like, "That's it, just too many beans." And I was just like looking at him like, "You're not setting a good example for the little roommates." And he's like, "I've tried, I've endured, I
lost
just can't
my
do it
patience."
anymore."
Really?
He's like, "Woman, I just want my white rice."
So they like
They
plain white
complain.
rice?
They love the plain white rice. But so what
I
I do
don't
now
understand.
is the color. They're just so about the color, right? So I just put in. I mix brown rice and white rice.
And
That's
that
what I
they'll
do
deal
now.
with?
They'll do. They're okay with that.
Okay. So
Yes.
they're not going to like what I've got to say.
Oh no.
Okay, the pink rice could be coming to us soon. And the pink rice, yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't mind pink.
And it looks in the article. This is from Euronews.
Yes.
And the title is Could this pink rice be the food of the future?
Ooh.
Scientists say it's more nutritious than normal rice. So what this rice is, and the reason it's got this pink hue is
Yes.
because at Yonsei University, they've successfully integrated animal cells into these rice grains. Uh-oh, I lost you.
Animal cells into rice grains.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's part of this new kind of. It's not that new, actually. It's probably
Okay.
about at least 10 years old, but the idea of having cultivated meat, or cultured meat sometimes it's called.
Yes.
So they've, for the first time, successfully done this with rice, where they can take cultured animal cells and grow it on the rice. It gives it like a pink hue, and it contains 310 more milligrams protein content per 100 grams of rice. I'm like, what does that mean?
What does it mean?
Yeah, right. So basically, it would be like adding 1 gram of beef brisket to your rice. So if you imagine putting beef on top and
Are we also adding the calories though?
you're adding carbohydrates.
Yes.
They said 160 more milligrams of carbohydrates.
So that means you're getting more calories.
Probably more calories,
Yeah,
but the
more
key.
nutritious.
Exactly, yeah. So more carbohydrates, more, in a good way, carbohydrates, I
Yes,
think.
good carbs.
And also the good protein that you want. But aren't you curious, like, how's it going to taste?
I'm not curious because I don't know if I would.
Oh, you wouldn't do it?
I am.
Oh, you wouldn't try
curious.
it?
I don't know.
Okay, well, they did say it's made from fish gelatin. To
There,
get
you
that-
lost. You lost half the audience right
I know.
there. Okay. Fish gelatin and what?
Okay, fish gelatin and enzymes, that's what kind of improves the structural stability of the rice and the animal cells. But they say the flavor tastes kind of like normal rice with a slight hint of animal protein that resembles butter and almonds. I like butter and rice. I don't know if that was like a
Oh my gosh! Every like Korean kid, the butter, rice, and soy sauce. Wasn't that like a thing?
Oh, is it?
it was a thing for many kids growing up. 피디님 그쵸? Like rice 간장밥하고 butter.
With butter?
Yeah,
My
butter.
wife, if I get butter anywhere near rice, she's like, get it out of here. She can't.
No,
She won't
that
let me
was
do
a
it.
thing. That was a thing.
I
yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But so it has that kind of flavor profile. But yeah, the idea is this is kind of a way to push cultivated meat and to kind of get away as an alternative from meat.
Yes.
Because we have a lot of problems with antimicrobial resistance because of industrial farming. It's a whole thing. But yeah, so they did say like, are people outside of Asia going to be willing to try pink rice?
I don't know.
Yeah. But are you even willing?
I don't know. I'm still stuck on the 계란 흰밥 간장 버터 and 파 송송 넣어서 as our producer is like typing away furiously. I had her at butter and rice.
So you're a fan of that too, the butter and rice? What's wrong with my wife? All right, I'm going to have words.
And Haley says, if you put butter in your soy sauce rice, you were a bougie.
Amuse-bouche, no?
No, not
that's
bourgeois. So it was margarine.
Margarine?
Yeah, because margarine it was, is cheaper than butter. So it kind of showed.
Yeah, margarine.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me the real butter.
Yeah, give me the real butter.
Yeah.
But the pink rice.
Yeah.
I don't know. You lost me at fish gelatin, though. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, and they are concerned. Like, are people in Korea really going to want to try this? There was a survey last year for the reported by the APAC Society for Cellular Agriculture.
Oh gosh.
They said, according to them, 90% of respondents in South Korea said they were willing to try cultivated meat. At least once.
Yes.
Sounds like you might be questioning it, but they did say, to your point about your children, they did say in this article, a professor at Seoul National University said the reason why Koreans can eat rice every meal without getting tired of it is that it doesn't really taste like anything. Since there's no strong flavor, you can enjoy it with various side dishes 3 times a day. But if you kind of change it and add this like flavor to it, will it still be a staple food?
I don't know. We got to let you go, though.
Oh, okay.
Because we got to play this song. And we need to play it as much as possible. So,
I see.
All right, we're going to let you go. But just to let you know, Casey, you're welcome back next week, okay?
Oh, thanks.
Okay.
I'll be back.
All right. And with that, we got to get to our song, Butter by BTS.
Oh.
Criminal undercover, don't pop like trouble, breaking into your heart like that. Cool shade stunner, yeah, owe it all to my mother. Hot like summer, yeah, I'm making you sweat like that. Break it down. Ooh, when I look in the mirror, I'm not too hard to do. I got the superstar glow, so ooh, do the boogie. A side step right left to my beat. I like the moon rock with me, baby. Know that I got that heat. Let me show you 'cause talk is cheap. Side step right left to my beat. Get it, let it roll. Smooth like butter. Pour you in like no other. Don't need no usher to remind me you got it bad. Ain't no other that could sweep you up like a rubber. Straight up, I gotcha, making you fall like that. Break it down. Ooh, when I look in the mirror, I'm at your heart into two. I got the superstar glow, so ooh, do the boogie line. Side step right left to my beat. I like the moon rock with me, baby. Know that I got that heat. Let me show you 'cause talk is cheap. A side step right left to my beat. Get it, let it roll. Get it, let it roll. Get it, let it roll.
Eyes on my wrist, I'm the nice guy. Got the right body and the right mind. Rolling up the party, got the right vibes. Move like haters. Fresh boy, pull up and we lay low. All the players get moving with the bass low.
Your Breaks of the World. BeFM 부산영어방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다 축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BeFM 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
부산 글로벌 도시재단 대표이사 전용호입니다. 부산은 물류, 금융, 영상, 관광, 첨단 산업 등 핵심 분야에서 또 한 번의 도약을 준비하고 있습니다. 글로벌 허브 도시 부산의 비전은 부산을 넘어 대한민국의 균형 발전을 촉진할 새로운 계기가 될 것입니다. 부산 글로벌 도시재단은 세계 시민을 연결하는 네트워크로 도시 외교의 중추적 역할을 담당하고 글로벌 부산의 미디어 플랫폼인 부산 영어방송을 통해 영어하기 편한 도시 부산을 만들고 있습니다. 글로벌 허브 도시 부산, 그 중심에 부산 글로벌 도시재단이 있습니다.
Busan Global City Foundation leads the Global Hub City Busan.
나 정상훈, 밀당의 고수지만 등받이는 당겨 앉는 버스 매너, 운동기구에 묻은 땀은 꼭 닦아주는 헬스장 매너, 주차할 땐 선을 넘지 않는 주차장 매너, 어디서든 매너 있게 매력 있게 공공 매너를 지켜주세요. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It's morning!
And what a lovely morning!
Dynamic Busan.
Good morning!
Good morning!
Good morning!
Good morning. Hello, Shelly.
What show is this?
Hello!
Hello, baby.
Hey, buddy.
Hello, everybody. Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
It's now 8 o'clock. This is News Highlights. DP pushes special counsel probe bill over Marine's death. The Democratic Party, or DP-controlled National Assembly, passed the bill which calls for the appointment of a special counsel to look into allegations of interference in the Marine Corps' internal investigation into circumstances surrounding the death of Corporal Che last year. The vote passed 168-0 as the ruling People Power Party, or PPP, boycotted the vote. PPP floor leader Yoon Jae-ok said that the party will recommend for President Yoon Suk-yeol to veto the bill. The presidential office expressed strong regret over the passage of the bill, saying that the tragedy is being used for political purposes, indicating that the president will veto the bill. Medical schools to expand admissions by at least 1,469. According to the Education Ministry and the Korean Council for University Education yesterday, 31 medical schools will collectively increase the quota for the 2025 academic year by 1,469, possibly 1,509 if Cha University Medical School decides to fully raise its quota. This university is not obligated to submit its admission plan, but the Education Ministry said that it will guide the school to promptly confirm and announce its figures. The government also said that for the 2026 school year, it will apply the 2,000 additional quota, although it said that it will take note if the Doctors Association presents a unified, reasonable position. OECD raises South Korea's 2024 growth outlook to 2.6%. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, revised up its outlook for South Korea's economic growth this year to 2.6%. The figure marked a 0.4 percentage point increase from its projection of 2.2% made in February, according to the Ministry of Economy and Finance. The organization said that growth is projected to strengthen following an economic soft patch on the back of rising exports of semiconductors. The forecast was rosier than the growth outlook for South Korea of 2.3% by the International Monetary Fund and the 2.1% forecast by the Bank of Korea. South Korea raises anti-terrorism for 5 overseas diplomatic missions. South Korea heightened its anti-terrorism alert status for 5 of its diplomatic missions by 2 levels in response to recent intelligence indicating North Korea's attempted acts of terrorism attacks against South Korean diplomats. The government convened a meeting yesterday and decided to raise the state of its 4-tier alert from attention to the highest level of alert for the 5 missions. And these are the South Korean embassies in Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and the South Korean consulates in Vladivostok and the northeastern Chinese city of Shenyang. International Criminal Court may seek arrest warrants for Israeli officials. Israeli officials are increasingly concerned that the UN's top criminal court is planning to seek arrest warrants for their top military and political leaders on suspicion of war crimes, possibly including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, according to reports. The International Criminal Court, or ICC, has been investigating Israel's actions in the occupied territories for the past 3 years, and more recently, the actions of Hamas as well. It has the power to charge and try individuals. Netanyahu has accused the ICC of attempting to paralyze his country's ability to defend itself. And this was News Highlights. It's time for Issue Wagga Wagga. Haley's back in the studio with us.
Hello again.
Yes. So this first story. A pro soccer player was injured during a match, but apparently he wasn't able to get carried in an ambulance, which prompted an angry response from his wife.
Right. So this happened earlier this week during a K3 League Mokpo FC match. Player Park Sunju of Gangwon Citizens Club, he was in a header with another player and hit his head pretty badly. Apparently sustained a major injury to the point where you could actually see his bone through the torn skin. So he received emergency treatment on the field, but had to, of course, be taken to the hospital. However, he was taken not in an ambulance, but a van that was standing by. And the club actually had requested an ambulance, but the person who was in charge of the game said, excuse me, if the ambulance that's on site, so they had an ambulance standing by as you're supposed to in pro matches, but if that ambulance leaves the stadium, then they actually have to stop the match because they wouldn't be in line with the regulation.
I see.
They always have to have an ambulance standing by. So they suggested that the player not take the ambulance, but the van, which interesting. Then what's the point of having an ambulance standing by if it's just going to stand by?
Literally just stand by.
Right. So the club actually had to pay for a private ambulance to take him from the first hospital that did preliminary treatments to a larger hospital for surgery where he had to patch his head up. So according to the Korea Football Association's K3 and K4 leagues operational guidelines, the home team has to have at least one ambulance and one vehicle that belongs to the office.
Okay.
And they actively recommend that at least 2 ambulances be on standby on site.
Because of cases like this.
Because the whole point of an ambulance is to carry injured people to the hospital. So if one has to be constantly on standby, then they have to have another one.
Yes.
Anyway, so you can imagine what the families and the fans and everyone else would feel like after this. The player's wife wrote on her social media that the player arrived at the hospital over 2 hours after the injury. And she found that absurd that the club couldn't call an ambulance, or the football field wouldn't call an ambulance for an injured player just because they're afraid of temporarily stopping the game.
What is the point of having games if you can't even protect your athletes?
Also,
That's
I
my
mean,
point.
if everything is goes according to plan, it shouldn't have taken more than like an hour, half an hour. So if they couldn't have stopped the game for that long, then it's upsetting. Definitely.
Yes, I would be upset. Anyhow, moving on, a child threw, is this correct, a scooter out the window, injuring a pedestrian passing by.
So this is yet another story of we talk about parenting classes, but we also have to talk about educating our children. This happened in Sejong City, according to the Sejong Nambu police. A young child, they didn't identify the language specifically, but he was in lower elementary school age, 1st through 3rd grade.
Yes.
Apparently threw a scooter. We call it a kickboard. Not an electronic one, but still, it was a significant kickboard out the window from a building of a private academy. And this actually hit 2 middle school girls who were passing by. One hurt her head and the other her legs. The one who got hit in the head, she lost consciousness for a little bit. So the police identified and found the child who threw the kickboard or the scooter out the window. But because he's not even 10 years old, basically nothing's going to happen. He cannot legally be criminally prosecuted. Because under criminal law, of course, this is a very contentious issue. A minor under the age of 14 is classified as a criminal minor and therefore cannot be prosecuted. And these accidents do happen consistently. 2 fatal results. An elementary school age child, these kids were all under 14.
Yes.
He threw a rock from an apartment last year, killing an elderly man in Seoul. Back in 2015, this famous case in Yongin, a child threw a brick from the roof of his apartment, killed a woman in her 50s. And unfortunately, because that's the law, nothing happened to them.
And the thing is this, though. I mean, kids are kids. I do understand. However, I think we really do need to teach our children. I mean, collectively, as a society.
Right.
There are certain things you can do and you
I mean,
cannot
I would
do.
understand. It's still littering, but if they threw a paper airplane out the window, for example, that's something we chastise and say that could be trash. But what would prompt a child to throw a kickboard, a scooter?
I don't know. I really don't. All right, let's move on to a lighter story. During math class in school, we often said, I'm never, ever going to use this in real life. Okay, by the way, Tommy, not you, excluding you.
Right.
I'm never going to use this in real life. I mean, I said it many times, sitting in an AP calculator list, like, when am I going to ever use this, right? But anyhow, this story is evidence to the contrary.
It's going to make all of us look bad, and especially me, because I am going to talk about something that I have no idea on. But this Tokyo University student, I believe freshman, lost a Bluetooth earphone and found it using math.
What kind of math?
I don't know. I'm just going to report the story, but not understand it. So, according to Japanese online media, this freshman, he's a special kid. He likes doing math for fun. That's a hobby. People have hobbies.
I don't like people like that. I'm sorry.
And he's a lovely. I am sure he's a lovely kid. But
I'm sure I'm kidding, but not really.
So he was walking on campus in Tokyo University, huge campus. He found that he lost one earbud. And I mean, usually there's no way to find a tiny earbud in that big of a campus.
Yes.
By the way, I've lost like a whole thing of my wireless headphones, and it's like something out the window. But he used the principle of a circumcenter of a triangle hanging there 삼각형 외심의 성질. And we're gonna give you a visual, and if you know what
I'm
this
looking at
is, you are much smarter than I. So I'm gonna say this in completely layman's verging on stupid terms. So basically, you throw a triangle in the middle of a circle, and that the circumcenter.
I remember this.
Do you really? I never learned this. Or maybe I did, and I
remember the picture, the visual.
Okay, so the circumcenter is the point of intersection between the three perpendicular bisectors of the triangle's side. Thank you, Internet, for that. So basically, I copied and pasted that part.
It's funny because we see the visual, and then just your arms flail.
It is accurate. It is an accurate depiction of what's going on. Flailing. So basically, the distance between the vertices, the points of the circumcenter and the circumcenter, they're basically the same. So what he did, back to real life.
Okay.
So he basically turned on the Bluetooth and he found the three spots where the Bluetooth signal went out. So in that triangle, that would be the vertices of the triangle. And then he connected the dots from those three spots, and they meet in the middle. That is the circumcenter where the other Bluetooth earphone is. Yeah.
And Tommy already said, "Oh, I see what's going on. I see that what he did."
Then Tommy, can you find the pots that I lost? I lost them somewhere in Ulsan. Can you? No.
You know,
and I lost them about 6 months
ago. Isn't that how police also work, with a triangular, the cell towers hitting, and I don't know. Okay. So.
By the way, I quickly gave up on finding my earphones. 20 minutes later, I'm like, you know what? That's just the cost of being stupid. So he thinks, and this is true, students think that math doesn't have any real life applications, but there are actually cases where you can use, in his terms, simple calculations or equations for everyday applications, which is very true. But one netizen said, I would have just cried while roaming around campus looking for the earphone. So kudos to him. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I give up easily.
I mean,
Easily.
I would look for a while, but it would have never I would have never
to me,
the word we thought, I would have never thunk it. Seriously, oh my gosh, triangular what? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Lastly, Apple's trying to fix this bug with its alarm, where it's been turning itself off. Oh my
so
goodness.
Kat and I were fighting yesterday,
Over
trying to cover this story. It's it's mine. So Apple said it's working to fix this issue that's causing some iPhone owners' alarms to trigger silently.
But what's the point of having an alarm?
Exactly. So by the way, I swear, and I cannot substantiate this with scientific evidence, but my alarm didn't turn on one day a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah. But I mean, I'm neurotic and I just wake up anyways.
Oh,
but
you
I was
have Taga phone, right?
Yeah, I do have the said phone, and I was I woke up at 5:05, and my alarm's supposed to go off at 5, and I was like, oh, and I never sleep through my alarm, knock on wood. So yeah, but I'm now I'm wondering. So on social media, users, and now myself, they've complained that their alarms didn't wake them up. And apparently this usually happens to alarms that you've had for a long time, for years and years and years, and you just haven't touched it. So basically, there are a few suggestions going under settings and the sound and haptics option, and making sure that's turned up, because it can be easy to just accidentally turn down your alarm's volume.
Yes.
Also, turn off the attention aware feature setting under Face ID. But in any case, I mean,
If
it's an
there's a
alarm.
glitch, though, they need to fix
They
it.
do need to fix it. I mean,
Yes.
I'm saying these phones are not cheap.
Right.
Yeah. Also, those the mistakes, sleeping through an alarm can be very costly for people's jobs, appointments, and whatnot.
Of course. You don't want to miss important things. And Umberto saying, looking for a while, nah, that's gone. The ear still stuck on the ear.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. Well, we're going to call it a wrap for today for this entire week. We're going to check in with Haley next week. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great weekend.
All right. Now it's time for our traffic update. There's a lot going on this Friday morning. So here is your report. It is now 8:16 on this bright Friday morning, but traffic-wise, not so great. There's an accident on Byeongno going out of the city around the Wondong interchange. There's another accident on Gwangan Bridge going towards Namcheondong. Slow looking on Yeonsuro from Shili three-way intersection to Mangmi-goge, and also looking congested on Mandakdero from Mandak intersection to Mandak Cathedral. It is 14 degrees currently under clear skies. We have an expectation of it to go up to 24 today. Tomorrow is Ipha, marking the beginning of summer on the solar cycle. So it's going to be really nice tomorrow with a high of 25 under clear skies. However, rain is forecast for Sunday evening. So you might, if you're going to do anything with your kids or go outdoors, do it in the AM to early afternoon. This was your traffic and weather. Ooh, this one is La Festine by Ratatouille. Oh, from Ratatouille by Camille.
Les rêves des amoureux sont comme le bon vin. Ils donnent de la joie ou bien du chagrin. Affaibli par la faim, je suis malheureux. Pas longtemps chemin, tout ce que je peux, car rien n'est gratuit dans la vie. L'espoir est un plat bien trop vite consommé. À sauter les repas, je suis habituée. Un voleur solitaire et triste à nourrir. Je suis amère, je ne peux réussir, car rien n'est gratuit dans la vie. Jamais on ne me dira que la course aux étoiles, ça n'est pas pour moi. Laissez-moi vous émerveiller et prendre mon envol. Nous allons enfin nous régaler. La fête va enfin commencer. Sortez les bouteilles, fini les ennuis. Je dresse la table de ma nouvelle vie. Je suis heureux à l'idée de ce nouveau destin. Une vie à me cacher et puis libre enfin le festin est sur mon chemin. Une vie à me cacher et puis libre enfin le festin est sur mon chemin.
Oh, that cut off quickly. It's now 8:20 on a Friday morning. Park Sung-il Waver says, wow, Ipha. Yeah, it's tomorrow. Ipha is tomorrow. And he also says, the song and the scenes are one of my favorites. I love this film too, Ratatouille. I mean, I don't love rats, but just the idea and the ingenuity behind this film was pretty amazing, right? I'm also looking at some really funny messages, nothing to do with our text topic. People are really craving 간장버터밥. Apparently, I'm getting tons of messages like from Kate and Brandon and Aiden and etc. saying like, oh, it looks really, they're craving that. And now you guys know what you're having for your little snack today, right? Let's go back to our text topic, however. 고수 Waver says, 저는 부모 수업이 있다면 어떤 과목을 배워야 할지 사실 모르겠어요. 인성은 스스로가 경험하고 살아가야 하는데 가르쳐주고 싶진 않아요. 가르쳐주면 좋을 수도 있다면 알려주세요. Oh, yes, yes. So basically about morals and having good morals, is it something that you can really teach or do you have to learn on your own is the question that he posed. Leslie, I like this one also. A topic of parenting class. Pick your battles 101. And by the way, we add 101 to anything that is kind of like basic elementary for any topic. Learn when to lean in and when it's okay to step back because it isn't a big deal in the grand scheme of things. And spoken like a true experienced parent because you cannot win all the battles with your little ones or else you will just tear your hair out. It's just not going to happen. And that's not reality. And I don't think it's okay for the parents to just win every argument. There has to be this kind of tug, you know, what do you call it? 밀당, right? This, you know, give a little, you know, push a little, depending on the situation. So I do agree that, you got to give and take. There's give and take definitely in that regard. So thank you for your messages. Let's see. What about this one? 최윤종 Waver. 부모 수업 있다면 당신의 아이만 소중한 존재가 아니에요. 라고 가르쳐주고 싶어요. 다 같이 사는 법을 알려주세요. 배려와 존중, 예의. So she says she would title the class, it's not just your kid that is precious. You're also precious as well, meaning the parent. I think that's a good point too. We've sometimes focused too much on the kids, but what about the parents? We're human beings too. And we're not AI robots. So anyhow, thank you for your messages. And I'll be back with our special interview. February 24th, 2022. Russian invasion of Ukraine. October 7th, 2023. Hamas, attacking Israel. And these are just the two start dates of the many conflicts, big and small, going on around the world as we speak. It seems that there has been a shift in the world dynamics with a number of countries facing precarious situations. And even here in South Korea, we stand vigilant as calculated diplomatic moves are being taken worldwide. This is definitely an era where things are changing, and we should be thinking about how Korea should survive in this rapidly changing world. To gain further insight into all of this, we have invited Professor Park No-ja. You may know him already as such or as Vladimir Tikhonov, author of 전쟁 이후의 세계. He's professor of Korean Studies in the Department of Culture Studies and Oriental Languages at the University of Oslo. Although born in the Soviet Union, he immigrated to South Korea in 1997 and became a naturalized citizen in 2001. Let's welcome the professor back to our program. It's been like about a decade, I think. So let's say hi to him. Hi, Professor. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much for having me now in 10 years, as you have said.
Yes, absolutely.
And by the way, a Russian invasion of Ukraine began approximately 10 years ago. So anyway,
yes. With Crimea and going forward from there, yes. Well, I see that you're in Oslo right now, Professor. So maybe you can give us an update. How have you been? What have you been up to?
Well, I have been okay visiting Korea pretty often. Couldn't visit Russia for the last 5 years for the understandable reasons. Well, otherwise, and last years, you see, originally I'm supposed to do history, but as you have already mentioned, last couple of years, I also have been writing about the time which we are unfortunately facing now.
Yes, yes. Well, let's jump right in, Professor. How has war shaped modernity, the modern world? What do you think, whether it's politically or economically?
Well, technologically, it's very obvious. Now we are talking with you using internet, and you perhaps remember that internet originated as APRANET, which basically was a network binding together military scientists. And it existed since the early 1970s, was commercialized in the late 1980s. So obviously we are dealing with originally military-industrial complex invention, which was later commercialized for civil use. And most inventions we are dealing with in our life are like this, I will tell you. And more generally, war was indispensable in shaping modern capitalist economy from the very beginning. You can remember that British industrialization was sped up by Napoleonic wars and prodigious amount of military order. And America only got over a Great Depression thanks to a Great War, World War II, and after that, Korean War, by the way. So obviously, we are dealing with something that is unfortunately very normal for capitalist world system.
Yes, yes. So succinctly put. In your book, you discuss the profound transformations that occur worldwide in the aftermath of war. Could you elaborate on this idea, please?
Well, I was writing about so-called hegemonic cycles in the history of the world system. Usually, for a century or so, you have a hegemon, the strongest capitalist power in control of trade. And between the hegemonic cycles, between, say, Dutch hegemony and British hegemony, and then British and American hegemony, you usually have a period of warfare and chaos. So to say, interregnum, as we call it. So I was trying to understand whether we are dealing now with a hegemonic interregnum, as American hegemony is in obvious decline. And of course, it's a big question of what is going to come instead of it.
I see. Well, in your opinion, Professor, where is the world heading in this so-called post-war era? Because, we're supposed to be post-war, but we're seeing these modern-day war happenings as we speak. And maybe you can add how you foresee it changing also?
Well, what I see is that first and foremost, we are not going to have a post-war era anytime soon. It looks as if the current period of the hegemonic interregnum, with gradual weakening of American hegemony and gradual rise of the challenges to this hegemony, it looks like this period of struggle for better positions in the world pecking order. This period is going to take a while. Maybe 10, 15, 20 years. It may be quite long. The previous interregnum actually was the period between 1914 and 1945 was the previous hegemonic interregnum. So it can take a while.
Yes.
So it's very hard to predict what is going to happen after that. Most likely we are going to have, rather than a single hegemon, we are going to have several hegemonic centers, which would be dividing more or less the world, controlling their own spheres of influence. But they are going to be very much interconnected.
So not just one now, but several, as you say. We could feel your concerns about the state of the world in your writings. How can we navigate this era without war? Is there a way?
Well, you see, we had previous wars there, World War I and II, and those states that prospered most, for example, Sweden in Europe, after the World War II, it became the model social democratic welfare state. And one reason for its prosperity, obviously, was the fact that it didn't fight in in either of the world wars. So you had other examples of the states which stood away from fighting, like Portugal, and they benefited enormously from that. So it depends, of course, on how your country is positioned in the world system. But one can at least make some efforts not to get entangled in one of those many conflicts that are going to happen in this period of hegemonic interaction. So one can at least try to avoid entanglements. And I think that's what South Korea perhaps has tried to do for its own good.
Yes, indeed. And, you know, speaking of South Korea, obviously not an official declaration to the end of war, even for the Korean War. However, you know, setting that aside, how should Korea survive in this rapidly changing world where, as you say, the dynamics are quite shifting? There isn't just one huge superpower, yet rather several.
Well, for one thing we should never do is we should not moralize international politics. Basically, great powers have very little to do with ethics or morals. And it doesn't matter in this case whether they are formally democratic or authoritarian. When it comes to great powers, they usually tend to use massive violence on huge scale, which entails human rights violations. And that happens even with democratic great powers, as we know very well from modern and contemporary history. If you look into Korean War, Vietnam War, it's very obvious. For one thing, we should not make what is happening now into a morality play. It's not. So another thing is that we have to understand that this situation is not going to change in that People's Republic of China is going to become stronger in the coming decade, perhaps coming decades. Its political system is not going to change, most likely. And it's very unlikely that our problematic neighbor, North Korea, will either disappear or significantly change its political system.
Yes.
The chances, or biggest probability is that it will be business as usual. It's going to be heavily armed state with this sort of bureaucratized personal rule by the current. So I don't see much possibility of it changing. So, and since the circumstances around us are not going to change, we have to adapt. That's it.
Adapt. Well, how can we adapt when we sometimes, South Korea, find ourselves in tough situation? We have our traditional allies, and then we have, regional powers. And even with the situation with North Korea, trying to balance these relationships, for example, the U.S., China, and even Russia, it's pretty tough.
Well, it's tough, of course, but we don't have to make the mistakes which we are making now. One big mistake which the current government, unfortunately, is making is they neglect completely the existence of North Korea per se. And they do it at their own peril. Because North Korea, as I have said, is not going to disappear. And recently, it looks like it's becoming stronger since it found its own niche in the era of war as an arms supplier to Russia.
Yes.
So getting rewarded for that, it looks like it helps it in a way to overcome some of its economic difficulties. It may help it to arm itself even better than it's already armed. And we may be heading for serious trouble unless we can find some sort of contact with the northern neighbor and understand how we can coexist peacefully.
Well, it's not just, warfare with weapons that we have to worry about. We have climate change, we have cybersecurity threats, we have global pandemics even, among the many challenges facing the post-war world. How can not just South Korea, but just countries generally coordinate their responses to any of these multifaceted, multipolar issues that exist?
Well, they should be wise enough. And what they should do, unfortunately, they don't. They should distinguish between politics and the issues of humanity's survival, like climate change. For example, in politics, you can have confrontation with China and Russia, and that's okay. Happens. But when it comes to climate change, we are going to equally suffer from that, and Korea is suffering already. You see the prices for vegetables and fruits in Korea, outrageous prices, and one reason for that is climate change, because we have much more climate disasters now in Korea than before. It affects the prices for apples and other things that are politically important, like onions. So we are already suffering from climate change. The thing is that Russia and China are among the biggest emitters of the climate gases. And you cannot change this fact. So what you have to do is that you can confront them, you can compete with them, you can even have proxy war with them. But on climate change, we have to collaborate. Unfortunately, it doesn't look as if it's happening this way, which is very, very sad.
Yes, yes. Collaboration is going to be key from here on out, obviously. Well, here's hoping that the powers that be are listening to what you're saying, Professor. But, I want to thank you so much for coming on air with us. Any last words for our listeners who very much may know you, Professor? What would you like to say?
Well, I hope that you enjoy Busan in spring and now basically in summer. And I sincerely wish that the summer wouldn't be too tropically hot. But as climate changes are making their way, I'm really, really afraid for Korean summers. They may really get wild. The tendency is that we have more and more tropical summers.
Yes.
So let's hope we avoid this time, but we really have to work with this. And we have to work all together. You see, you can't prevent climate changes by efforts of Koreans only.
Well, thank you so much. Take care, and hopefully we'll speak to you real soon again, Professor. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And this was our special interview with Professor Park No-da, also known as Vladimir Tikhonov. And once again, we were talking about not just his opinions, but also his writings in 전쟁 이후의 세계. And this is Open Arms by Journey.
Lying beside you, here in the dark, feeling your heartbeat with mine. Softly you whisper, you're so sincere. How could our love be so blind? We sailed on together, drifted apart, and here you are by my side. So now I come to you, open arms, nothing to hide. Believe what I say. So here I am with open arms, hoping you'll see what your love means to me. Open arms. Living without you, living alone. This empty house seems so cold. Wanting to hold
listening to the world's most reliable morning show, Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Text in to BEFM # 9050 for 101. You can also reach us for free through our YouTube live stream or on Kakao Talk. Begin your morning with Catherine, and don't forget to reboot your day after lunch. Stay tuned for Steve Hatherley Reboot every day from 2 to 4 p.m.
It is time for What in the World?
What in the world has happened to this studio is my first question.
What? Yay! How are you?
I'm good. I've got something in my eye.
Yes.
It's not my finger before you say it.
And it's not a sty.
It is
no
not
sty
a
in her
sty.
eye.
No, I just got a little stray fluffy guy flew into my eyeball like about 3 minutes ago.
And she can't get it out.
I can't get it
you
out.
need
So I
eye
might
drops.
have to pirate this episode.
Oh,
matey.
Yes.
How are you?
Doing okay. So today we are asking as our text topic.
Yes.
If there were parenting classes before you had become a parent, looking back in hindsight, what would you like to have learned ahead of time? Some people are saying oh, I wish, what did Leslie say? Oh, pick your battles 101.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
how to deal with defiant toddlers.
Yeah. I think the thing that I would want to have shoved down my throat is that it's not personal.
It's not
not
personal.
personal.
Don't take it personal.
So the kids are having a moment, and this is true for kids, whether they're 2 years old, because I have an almost 2-year-old now, or whether
Yes.
they're 11, because I have an 11-year-old. And so it's not personal. Whatever experience is going on for them, it's nothing to do with me.
Wait. Tan's 11?
Yeah. He's going to be, he's, man yourself.
Oh, are you doing the whole Korean age thing?
He's 11. Because people still go with that, right? Even though we don't go with it, but I
I
know,
feel like
right?
he was a baby.
I know.
Like literally.
He was a baby,
He
but not
was.
anymore. 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
But yeah, I think it's not personal. And I would
Yes.
use that in all aspects of my life. When someone is rude to you, when someone has like a kind of negative thing to say or is upset or whatever.
Don't take it personal.
It's not personal. Just that's what they're doing. That's what they're going through.
That's true.
You
though.
just control whatever you need to control on the
Okay,
inside.
fair enough. Good.
Yeah.
All right.
I still need to learn that lesson though.
Yes. Well, we're going to dive into some hopefully good news. Hopefully.
It is good news, wonderful news, and also some very interesting news from all around the world. There's kind of a weird thing. I'll put that in the middle.
Okay.
But there's no scary things. Last week we had a bit of a kind of an interesting one that could have been controversial, but none of that today. We've got, talking about babies.
Yes.
You had or have, but no longer are your roommates, but 3 roommates, right? 3 little roommates.
3 little ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Not so little.
Not so little.
They're all bigger
anymore.
than me now. Yeah.
Did you have them all at the same time?
No, triplets?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I when I was young and stupid and single before,
Yeah.
Well, I used to like tell everybody I want like twins or triplets because
Yeah.
like my whole stupid thinking was, just go through the labor once and then have 3 beautiful cherub like baby angels, right?
Cute babies that just sit in a photo position all day long.
And sleep all day long and don't bother you and ask you endless questions like why mommy, what?
Imagine
Really?
that all at the same time. Plus one, because an Alabama woman gave birth to quadruplets.
Ooh.
2 sets of identical twins.
Oh, 2 sets of ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
So actually, having 2 sets of identical twins as quadruplets is a rare birth occurrence.
How rare?
70 million to 1.
So it's like winning the lottery.
It's basically even more rare than winning the lottery, right? 70 million to 1. So Hannah Carmack and her husband, and I think we've got pictures maybe up on the screen at some point. I'm not sure.
Yes.
I can't see what's going on. They were really shocked because they weren't even trying to have babies.
They weren't even trying to get pregnant?
Nope. They weren't trying to have babies. They weren't expecting. So they just went and they're like, okay. She went for a sonogram. And okay, I will. Thank you. Did you see her like crawling underneath the camera so nobody can see to hand me that note?
No,
You
she
just airplane it to me next time. You know, I'm going to say it. Well, of course I'm going to say it on air. Yes, I will. So the photographs came from the articles, so Good News Network. And basically they went for a sonogram and they're like, we think we might be pregnant. We're not trying to get pregnant, but we think we might be.
Yes.
And the doctor's like,
wait a minute here.
So we see 4 babies and they're like, oh, what?
I know. Like, I would have been like, even if it were twins, I would have been like happy and flabbergasted.
Yeah.
And, you know, but 4
babies. And so they're like, 장난치지 마세요. Don't joke with me. But yes, it was true. Basically what happened, she went through the pregnancy. They were born prematurely.
Yes.
It was a planned C-section.
It's very common
common for multiple births because the babies grow and grow and grow, and if there's no space, it can be very dangerous for mother and babies.
Yes.
So in March last year, so there's quadruplets Evelyn, David, Daniel, and Adeline. Thriving, very cute. And so this family are putting all their stories on the SNS. So you can see what life with quadruplets is like. And no thank you.
No thank you?
No thank you.
No thank you. So we have the visuals now?
Yes, we've got the
there
visuals.
they
So there's
are.
Hannah, and there's her 4 babies, 2 sets of identical twins, quadruplets.
Quadruplets. Once again, rare because there are 2 sets of identical twins, right? Yes.
2 sets of identical twins. So quadruplets might come out as, you know, just random. I don't say
Like
random.
fraternal.
Like not randos, but
Yeah.
just like children all together, but 2
Yes.
sets of identical twins.
Very rare.
And they came home 96 days after they were born because obviously they spent some time in the NICU.
Yes.
And yeah, she's only 29 as well.
So, big congrats to them.
Congratulations.
Yes,
and good luck.
Yes, and I certainly hope they have like the support of not just their neighborhood, but like, you know, organizations. Sometimes you see on the media all the time, they give like free diapers, support. They need support for babies.
So mother-in-law came out to help with, you know, after the birth. And then
so many.
there was, I mean, they've been all over the internet, all over the news now. So people are rallying to help this new couple with these new gifts from above.
All right.
Yes.
How many times can we say new? Let's move on.
New. So if
All
you want to
right.
check them out, go and find them on the internet. Okay, next one. I'm taking you to Scotland, my lass.
Your stomping ground.
Hometown. Well, not actually my hometown. How do you feel about gnomes?
Gnomes, like little gnomes?
Like garden gnomes.
Indifferent. Like I never had any in my garden.
Indifferent.
Yes.
You don't
Why?
care.
Why?
You don't care about the gnomes?
No,
Kat?
I don't.
Come on. Well,
yes.
There is a bit of a mystery going on in Scotland. This is the what? Because it's the Inch Gnome Island.
What?
You get the
Inch.
It's a pun. Never mind.
Okay.
It's a remote island. So basically, Scotland, if you've never been, Scotland has beautiful nature, rolling hills,
Yes.
lakes, oceans, rivers, all the things, very green, lots and lots of wildlife as well. So when I was young, I used to go to this place called Inchcolm Island, and they do a lot of school trips out there. And you go out there and they have this marine centre and you learn all about the stuff, but you can also see seals. So you drive in a boat and there's seals just kind of popping up everywhere. It's really, really cool.
Yes.
It's called Inchcolm Island. There's pictures, I think we have them from
got such a-
Boznach.
Our producers is saying 놈스 땅송 요정. How would we describe a gnome?
A gnome is like a little... It's like a little grandpa.
Right.
That could be almost like Santa, except not as trustworthy.
And by the way, Laura and I are not saying like 놈들 놈스 그거 아니고요. Like GNOMES.
GNO, like garden gnomes.
Like garden.
So you've seen them. They have like probably little blue outfits on, little blue romper suits, or maybe they look like the Snow White characters.
Yeah.
And they've got these little pointy hats on. But we've got another picture of Inchcolm Island with the seals, PD name.
Okay.
So you can see that. But that's the natural place. Anyway, the reason is it's a mystery is because there's a remote place called Swallow Craig, just off Inchcolm Island that I used to visit when I was young. Someone keeps putting garden gnomes on it.
Oh, really?
Someone keeps going there.
That's creepy.
And really creepy, right?
That's creepy.
And so they keep, all these random gnomes keep popping up from nowhere, and people go there and they add to it, but they keep doing it when no one's around.
That's why it's creepy.
That's why it's creepy.
Right.
And so it's known as Swallow Craig. It's in the Firth of Forth, which is a river in Scotland. And it's basically... There's a conspiracy theory now in Scotland.
Ooh.
Where are these coming from? Did they get left by local fishermen? Are they being left by people who keep coming back and adding here and there? Did they escape?
Did they, from where and what?
The nearby garden centre, because
okay,
there is one. But yeah, they've been there apparently for the past 14 years, but they've only just come to light as this kind of weird conspiracy theory across the world. And so... the people now don't just go to see Inchcombe Island with all the beautiful nature and the seals and the seal pups. They now also take a detour to Gnome Island to see all the gnomes.
And by the way, Tommy, it's not 그 놈. It's
Tommy name. Come on.
He's so hilarious. It's 아재 개그.
그놈 맞습니다. G-N-O-M-E-S. But the G is silent.
Silent. All right.
Yes.
Let's move on to our final story.
Final story. So this is really cool, and I love this initiative because charity shop fashion. Have you ever gone to thrift shops and thought, yes, I'm going to use this and buy some more of this? And yeah,
absolutely.
This is becoming more and more of a big industry.
Yes.
The pre-loved fashion boom, secondhand market is actually on track to catch 10% of global sales of fashion.
Wow, that's pretty high.
That's
yeah.
huge. And especially as fashion is one of, fast fashion, but definitely, but I mean, in general, fashion is pretty bad for the environment.
It is.
And so Jen Graham, she's known as Charity Shop Girl. She's a second-hand fashion stylist, and now she's pushing ahead this initiative for charity shop purchases, saying that, the importance of shopping second-hand, these are not used products. They are pre-loved products.
Gently used.
And she's basically highlighting the importance of how much of an impact it can make on your wallet, so your economic standing, because people are skint these days. The only thing that's not rising is
our
wages,
salaries,
right? So she's emphasizing the importance of that, and we've got some pictures from Positive News.
Oh yes,
as well. You can see her in a charity shop. But she says not only is it good for your own wallet, it's also good for the world. It's
true.
good for the world. And also she says it's really exciting and fun to go to charity shops, thrift shops, grab a bargain, match things like that. And so I have a bit of a challenge for you and for our listeners.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the challenge?
I want you. So if you go on a date, it can be a friend date.
Okay.
It can be with your significant other, with your roommate, whoever.
Yes.
Give yourself a budget. Now, if you don't have much of a budget, 2 man on.
Okay.
Man on.
And what are we supposed to do?
So what you need to do is go to a charity shop, buy an outfit for your friend or for your partner, and then you wear the outfits, and then you go on a date wearing those outfits.
Oh, I like that idea.
재밌겠죠?
너무 재밌겠다. We got to go on a double date.
Yeah, double date 합시다.
Yes.
너무 재밌게.
A triple date with our producer.
If you trust your partner, then it's okay. If your partner is likely to buy you something insane, even better.
Maybe not.
Even better.
Maybe not. All right. We're going to call it a wrap for What in the World. Thank you for these really fun stories today.
Thank you.
And we'll check in with you next week. Thank you, Laura.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And it's time to wrap up our program for today for the entire week. It's been an eventful week, of course, and we have a long holiday to look forward to. However, we'll be back Monday. So thanks to you, the listeners, for listening. Final song, here it is. This is Don't Get Me Wrong by Matchbox 20. Bye, everybody.
I'm on the edge, but I never attack. I'm straight off the moment, but I still come back like that. I'm a strong man, weaker than I once was. Reading brambles, still hard to handle. I can hold my own if you need me. I'm standing here, can you see me? Sometimes I'm standing where I wanna be. Sometimes I hate you, but you feel so nice. I know you feel present tense. I keep it covered like it's rubber cement. I got a side that you ain't seen yet. I know I'm looking dry, but I'm feeling soaking wet.